Okay, so sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me now. I really apologize. I live at the top of a mountain and the internet here is really bad. So, doing my best. Let me finish off where we were. So let me flip this over. Okay. Okay, so here's where I'm missing a shelf, but I have the colored pencils. My husband made this block and I put in the little painted circles, but I've seen a lot of them on Etsy. So if you don't have a crafty person in your family who can help you, then you can also always just get them on Etsy. And so I have the colored pencils. This is where I keep the metal inset paper right in there. These are bean bags because, again, I have some young children that have that still need to work on control of movement. I have some 5-year-olds, and so they put these on their head and then they can walk. I don't have an ellipse, but I have a straight line where they can go outside and walk. So fun stuff. Okay, so I don't know, some of you might have seen my post last week where I had a few kind of simple board games, puzzles, etc. Those are going away next week because the children now have enough presentations, but I haven't had a chance to take them away. The only thing that's not going away is the map of the United States. And I have the pieces are there. Ta-da! And so, it's really surprising. Even the 7-year-olds were having a hard time with it. Because they hadn't had, previous exposure to puzzles like this. So if you have younger children, don't think that, it's a map of the United States and they're not going to understand what it is, so I shouldn't expose them to it. On the contrary, treat it like a puzzle and let them play with it so that they can explore it, and little by little they will begin to, to feel comfortable and familiar with the puzzle, and then introducing the names will be super simple. Okay, so here I have some pillows for when the children are working on the ground. Thank you, Kathy, you're so sweet. And just because the floor is wood, and so sometimes it can be uncomfortable, and then in the winter it can get a little cold, etc. And these, I love these, so let me show you. I have 3 of these little lap tables. Here we go. They're from IKEA. And I just got them, so they probably, if you have an IKEA near you, they probably still have them. They're made out of like bamboo, and they have these little edges, so it's great because the pencils don't roll off. And then they're really kind of child size. They're great. There we go. Here, let me back up. Right, so they're perfect for, they're brand new. I just saw them last week. And so they're perfect for individual work, and the pencils won't roll off, which is exciting. So anyways, I got 3 of these, and you have to give a presentation on how to use them. You have to talk about, do we sit on them or do we put our work on them? How do we treat them, etc.? Where do we put them away? Because they do look like stools, and children who are not familiar with Montessori, with how we treat our materials might be tempted to sit on them. Okay, so I have these stacked right here because I'm still, again, waiting for a shelf. These are conversation starters, and there's a bunch of different ones online that you can print out. So these are great for like circle time, or if you have young children, you really want to be doing a lot of conversations. We underestimate the power of conversations, and so you want to get the children talking, sharing, getting to know each other, and these are great for that. Yes, there is a lot of love that went into this, Sabrina. Absolutely. Okay, these are not Montessori per se, but we have a metal garage door, and so these are great for outside. They're one of these like little roller coaster, kind of like build your own roller coaster kind of things, where, here, let me show you. They have different cards, and they tell you what to build. And then the children have to play with the angles so that the little wheels will go down the tracks and fall into the little kind of box at the bottom. And so it's just about exploring gravity and angles and speed. So it's kind of physics but it's also great for when we're outside. But there are children who might not want to be running around and swinging. They might want to be doing something a little bit more intellectual. And so I can take this material outside. Here are the metal insets. And you don't always see metal insets in an elementary classroom, but I think they're amazing. And I think it's psychogeometry, Dr. Montessori talks about doing geometric design with the metal insets. So if you have them, use them. They can totally be done with for elementary children. And so then kind of have a little bit of a primary setup for the metal insets because, again, I have 5-year-olds. And so there's the little protector and the tray, and they put everything on a tray. They go and get their pencils, and then they can sit down. But I'm not as strict in terms of how many insets they can take. I did start by showing them just the inset because it's a lot easier to trace around the inset. And then eventually I'll show them how to trace around the shape. And you do that in primer. Okay, let's take a look at what's over here. You know what? Let me turn the light on because it's getting dark. There we go. Okay. Now this is kind of like my primary shelf, right, for my 5-year-olds. Oh, by the way, this is the Word a Day calendar from Mrs. Wordsmith, and it's awesome. All the resources from Mrs. Wordsmith are amazing. They have a book of, like a thesaurus, but like really great for younger elementary children. They have like a My First Words book that my daughter adores. So Mrs. Wordsmith, that's really cool. Okay, now these are, so these are like for tessellations. So tessellations like tiling, right? So when you see like the Islamic art, the Islamic mosaics, that's what what I use this for, and it has like a little magnetic board. Okay, so there's a question about like how do I run my day, and that's like the topic of a whole other IGTV that I will be filming hopefully next weekend if I get a chance. But I'll definitely be talking about that because I've gotten a lot of questions about that. But anyways, these are great because children don't need a formal lesson. They can just kind of like create something with that, and let me know what you build. And some children will make, a tree or a horse or whatever, and some will make really cool patterns. So, okay, these are awesome. Okay, these are from Barefoot Books, and they're Build a Story cards. So these are about Magical Castle. There's another set that I think is like Underwater or I think I'm back. Okay, so anyways, these help children. They have different activities. And they have character cards, setting cards, and then kind of plot cards. And it comes with different activities to help children learn how to structure a story. And they're also kind of social emotional games. So they're really cool. And these are here. And my children know how to use them, and so I just kind of invite them to show the other children how they work. Then we have Origami Zoo Kit. And what's nice about these origami papers is that it comes with kind of a step-by-step instructions. And at the end, it's an animal that the children can actually recognize. So it's good. It's satisfying for them. Okay, here I have the constructive triangles. So I have box 1, and then box 2, and box 3. And these are from, I think, Montessori, ETC, or, ETC Montessori. Again, they're not my favorite vendor, but I also didn't want to spend a ton of money on constructive triangle materials. And these are great. And you can see I don't have them in boxes. I have them in these little trays. They're from Michael's, and they're unfinished wood, but they work really well. And this is just like a, one of those like paper sorters, like mail sorters from Office Depot, whatever. But they work great because if you see, they have these giant IKEA cubbies. Otherwise, you have a lot of empty space. And so that little kind of mail sorter, paper holder thing worked really well. Let's see what else I have. So you can see these are kind of more primary activities that the children can pull out. And I am not going to freak out if they pull it out without knowing what to do with it, right? This is a Geo Board, and it comes with these cards, but they're kind of complicated, honestly, for my little ones. And so right now all they've been doing is just kind of taking the rubber bands and spreading them out. But eventually I'm going to use it, to explore different geometric shapes and angles, etc. But for now I'm like, okay, just go to town for a little bit and, practice using rubber bands and putting the material back and all of that fun stuff. Then let me show you what's in here. I'm almost done with this shelf. This has been a favorite of my children for years. A friend gave these to us like 6 years ago, and we still have them. These are magnetic little sticks, and then we have these balls. And so the children can make three-dimensional shapes with them. They're super cool. The only thing is you have to make sure that the children keep the balls on their rug. And so it's an exercise in self-control, controlling the material. And if it becomes chaotic, then it goes away. Okay. So that's that. All right, let me show you what I have down here before we end this tour. So these are just animal stencils. I think I got them at a thrift store or something. But I have a couple of the children that I work with live on a farm, and so they've actually been having a lot of fun drawing in all the animals that they live with. Then these are, again, the geography stencils from ETC, and it comes with the cutout as well. But I have those somewhere else, and I use them to introduce the continents. I have them stored right now. So these I haven't introduced to the children. Okay, here, this is kind of fun. Oops, here we go. These are kind of fun. So I found these free online somewhere, the constellations. And so then I added the names of them. I don't even know where I found the constellations. They're just a free printable. And so then I just added the names of them, and I have 6. And so what I do is I tell a little story about one of the constellations, for example, how Ursa Minor got its name. And once I have the children hooked with the story, then I show them that they can trace, right? So they take one of these little pieces of tracing paper, and they mark the dots, and then they kind of do a connect the dots. Then once that's done, then they take this little paper and they put it on top. And I just made this up because I knew the children were into constellations, or a few of the children were. So anyways, then they take their traced paper, they put it on top of the blue paper, and then they punch all of the constellation with, here we go, a little thumbtack, right? And so I keep it on a cork so the thumbtack is not flying all around the room. They punch it out, then this paper goes away, and then I have these pre-threaded, because right now most of the children don't know how to thread a needle, but then I show them how to sew the constellation, and it really, supports their concentration, work of the hand, etc. And then at the end, they just tape the thread so that it doesn't go away, it doesn't fall away. So anyways, that's the material. Now I need to set it up a little bit more neatly, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'll do that when I'm preparing the classroom. And I'll show you a finished example of that work. Now here's my clay work, and you can see that the children have been hard at work with the clay work and not really putting it back. So this happens a lot at the beginning of the year, is where you notice that they leave things like this. And so instead of me cleaning it up for them and then just having it perfect to begin the week, I'll just leave it like this, and I'll put it in front. I'll put it kind of at the center of the rug when all the children come and sit down. And so in the morning before we start our work period, I'll just give a little presentation on how we return this material, how we clean it so that it is presentable for the next person. But anyway, so this is terracotta colored clay with a little towel, and then I have the little placemat here. And the placemat is actually in decent shape. But just so that, I'm just going to put it like this for now, just so you get an idea of the reality of Montessori, right? Children are not always aware, and if you don't always make them aware, like, if I'm running around and I have a bunch of different children, I might not be able to, here I am, I might not be able to give them a lesson right away on how to clean up after themselves, and so then things like this happen, and so then that lets me know that I have to go back and represent how to clean up a material. And it's not a punishment, it doesn't, I'm not going to be angry with them, we're just going to talk about how to put materials back so that the next person can use them. And there was, I was going to show you, the last thing I want to show you is the result of that little constellation sewing activity, which is super cute. Let me see if I can find one of the children's work. Okay, here we go. Let me flip it over so you can see it and admire it. Isn't that cute? That's super fun. And then she didn't label it. Oh, well, she put her name on the back. But I always ask the children to put their names. It just gets them kind of, practicing. But then this one actually, let me show you, he wrote, here we go. He wrote the name of the constellation. So here is Canis Major, right? And so when I ask them to write, what I'm doing is, obviously giving them a chance to practice, but I'm also kind of assessing if they're able to copy letters, if they're able to write, how they're writing. This is pretty typical of a 5-year-old where they just end here and then they keep going here. Some children will end here and then keep going here. So, just kind of gives you an idea of where they are. So on that note, that was a lot, and I hope you enjoyed this crazy tour of my homeschool space and all the little tips and suggestions and resources that I have for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'm always happy to answer questions and give more ideas. So thanks for coming along. Sorry about the tech difficulties, but I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.